Hello everyone, I'm Mini FC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you guys a big video. Yes, this is an update on the whole Michael Emenalo situation and his resignation from Chelsea. Now, I need to warn you guys, there's going to be a lot of alleged information that I'm going to be telling you guys in this video, so you have to make of it what you will, but I have to let you know that in my opinion, I feel that the information I have been given is very credible. And of course, I'm taking a risk here, but I'm the type of person that likes to take a risk and I'm feeling pretty confident behind it. So I'm going to let you guys know some of the behind the scenes stuff happening at Chelsea. Now, Emenalo actually did have an interview with Chelsea TV. And in that interview, he did state that he felt extremely proud of his achievements at Chelsea and his legacy. And he was talking about how Chelsea was like a positive addiction for him and his family. He ended off by stating that Christensen's performance against Manchester United was a great send-off for him, an inadvertent one, but altogether a great send-off. Reports have come out today stating that Marina granovskaia might just do away with the whole director of football model that's happening at Chelsea at this moment in time. And what does that mean for the club? Well, that means that she's going to have more power and have the ability to really dictate what happens at Chelsea. But how can she do this? Well, she already controls transfer negotiations and also when it comes to signing managers. So all she needs to do is have Neil Bath sending scout reports to her and her team, and then she can really diversify Emenalo's role and really just spread it out across multiple roles at Chelsea. But this video is really going to detail whether business and football can really combine and work together, especially at a club like Chelsea. Now, to get straight into the video, yes, Emenalo has been linked with Monaco, but they're not the only links. Now, there are links from some Turkish clubs as well, and really Emenalo is probably going to make a decision on his future for next season. Still though, Emenalo's departure was quite sudden. He only handed in his resignation form last week. Now, it's come out from the blue, so I'm wondering, why has this actually happened? Why now? Why not previously? Why not years in the past? Well, this is all going to be alleged information, so prepare yourself. Basically, Emenalo felt that his role wasn't taken very seriously and he felt that he was getting undermined and undervalued. Now, I'm going to give you some alleged scenarios, some things that might have actually taken place and really forced him to make that decision. Now, it's been alleged that Emenalo's role has been diminished recently as Marina has her own team when it comes to scouting reports as well, and she's been making some decisions as well as Conte, and he feels that with Conte making his own decisions and Marina doing the same thing, he's kind of left in the middle. For example, one scenario regarding Nathaniel Chalobah. Now, what allegedly happened was that Conte actually spoke directly to Chalobah, informing him that he thinks that a loan move is good for him right now, and then instead of relaying that information to Emenalo and discussing it with him, he went straight to Marina, who agreed with him. And I think, of course, Emenalo was surprised by that, he was shocked by that, and that's really what forced Nathaniel Chalobah's hands to really leave Chelsea and move to Watford, because he felt that, again, he's not going to be taken seriously here. He had no real future here. He had to take responsibility for his career and keep it moving. Now, moving back to this thing of Marina having her own team when it comes to helping with scouting reports. Now, because of this, she has her own ideas of players that could work at Chelsea, and Conte is very strong-headed himself. He has his own ideas of players that he'd like to bring in. An example is allegedly Felipe Anderson. Now, Marina stated that he could be brought to the club, but in fact Conte did reject that possibility and instead wanted to vouch for Antonio Candreva. But with Candreva and the club's policy, it was never going to suit because Candreva is 30 years old. Chelsea have a very strict policy which Roman Abramovich has given permission for, where if you're 30 years old you only get a 1-year extension and it gets renegotiated at the end of every season. Now, for Candreva to arrive, that really goes against the club's policy, and really in a way it doesn't make any sense because it isn't going to go through whatsoever. Another example with Emenalo feeling that his role was being diminished at the club was in regards to the signing of Ross Barkley. Now, Emenalo was a big advocate for Ross Barkley. Why? Because first of all, he would suit playing in our 3-4-2-1 system, where our wide players need to be able to take positions in those half spaces. Both Conte and Marina were opposed to the signing of Ross Barkley, as Marina felt that getting a winger would be a better alternative, and also Conte just didn't want Barkley in the team. But with Emenalo's departure, there is one player who allegedly his future is on the line now, and that is Michy Batshuayi. Now, during the summer, it was stated by Conte that he did want to get rid of Michy Batshuayi and bring in Llorente. Now, Marina was happy with abiding by that because she could have got a lot of money for Michy Batshuayi, but Emenalo was an advocate for Michy to stay at the club as he didn't want another Lukaku situation to happen. Now, with him going on, it seems that Michy will probably have no future after the end of the season and he will probably keep it moving. Now, this is some more alleged transfer news, but one target that Conte does actually like is Christian Benteke from Crystal Palace. And as I did report in a previous Transfer Daily video during the summer, he was looking at the possibility of bringing him in because Conte does like to have a big, powerful target man striker in his teams. Look at his Juventus career, he had that with Llorente there as well, with other players as well. And another player that Conte is possibly looking at is Yasin Ben-Yedder from Sevilla. He's a number 10 type of player, and this is where Marina and Conte really seem to clash. Conte was an advocate for bringing in a more traditional number 10 type of striker. If you look at his past team in Juventus, he did have those types of players in Tevez and Vucinic who played that type of role that Hazard's playing alongside Morata in the system. Now, this is where issues come into play because first of all, Conte didn't agree an extension to his contract. He only agreed a deal to earn more money, and there's a possibility that he might be leaving at the end of the season, which is looking more and more likely. Now with Marina, she was opposed to the signing of number 10 strikers because the number 10 possession in football today is really dying out now. Most teams don't really use them. If you look at an example of why signing number 10s can be an issue, that's Manchester United now. They have an overabundance of number 10s in Mkhitaryan, Juan Mata, Lingard, you can go on, and most of them can't get into the team and they don't really fit the style of the system. Now, if Marina was to allow Conte to bring in the preferred number 10s he's looking into, that would mean that if he was to leave at the end of the season and they bring in another managerial candidate, there's a massive chance that he won't be using a system that requires a number 10. Now, what's that going to do for the player that's been bought? It's really going to diminish what he can do for the team. One player that Conte really likes allegedly is Nabil Fakir from Lyon. Now he fits that role perfectly as Conte wanted to have players that's more suited to playing as part of that front three because as I was saying earlier with the front three they do collect the ball in the half space positions where you play with your back to goal and it suits more of a number 10 type of striker. Now with Nabil Fakir allegedly he would have cost £50 million but Marina was against the signing because of the reasons I stated earlier. And really if you were to bring him in you'd have to stick with playing a 3-4-2-1 system. All Marina cares about is continuity and that's really what her job entails. That's why she's very strict with the transfer budget and she likes to go for good value and doesn't like to overspend unnecessarily because Roman Abramovich trusts her 100%. She's the only one at the club that has anywhere near the same type of influence where she can actually even dissuade Roman Abramovich from thinking of one idea and actually imparting her own ideas onto him. And he takes her word because he's worked with her previously and he trusts her. And why does Roman Abramovich really have to trust the people he's hiring at the top? Well, he's a billionaire. He has billionaire things to do. He has companies and businesses to attend to. It's not practical for him to come to every single game, have his businesses, and then, of course, affect things at the club. And really, the biggest sign of power that you can show is actually giving Marina full responsibility of the transfer budget and transfer negotiations. Because of this responsibility that Marina does have, she has been very strict with what type of players we can and who we can't bring into the club. Of course, it's true, we have been priced up from signing players. Now, during the summer, Conte really wanted to bring in a wing back to the team. And of course, unfortunately, we were outbid for Mendy and Danilo, who both went to Manchester City. And other players were being targeted, such as Bertrand and Cedric. But again, the money for those players wasn't really worth it. Another player deemed too expensive at the time was Alexis Sanchez, as I've been told, allegedly, of course. Now, with Sanchez, his contract does run out in a year's time. And the money Arsenal wanted for him didn't make any business sense because he was going to be free in a year's time. Now, another thing with Sanchez is that the signing on fee that he does want, when he does agree terms with a new club, is a lot of money. Now, that's rumoured to be around £15 million, which is a ton of money for a guy that's reaching his 30s. Really, Marina's philosophy is to sign young and upcoming players that have a potential market value, but can also have that market value increase and have the potential to become key components for the first team for years to come. Now, it might seem quite disheartening to a lot of Chelsea fans. Of course, with Conte not really being able to get some of the players that he wants for the system, you have to understand his frustrations from a footballing point of view. This is why I stressed earlier, there's a clash between business and football. For Conte's system to really work, as I was stating earlier, he needed those upgrade signings. He needed the upgrade signing on the left hand side and further up, because Pedro and Willian just can't fulfill those roles properly to a high enough standard. And really, to really do justice to the system, you really need to have a player, and that tends to be a number 10, that's suited to playing in those types of positions in the system. And with Conte on top of that, not really securing his future at the club by really letting them know if he's going to be staying on for the years to come, he couldn't afford to take that risk financially. Now, there are some players that we are looking to bring in January who I'll probably do videos in the future, but there's one big one in Angel Di Maria. Now, again, this is all allegedly in this moment in time, but with Paris Saint-Germain, the massive transfer outlay they spent during the summer, they really need to sell some players to try and meet financial fair play. Now, it looks like the players who are possibly going to be going is Lucas Moura, who's also been linked with Chelsea, and his agents actually put him on the transfer market, and Angel Di Maria, because they have an abundance of players that can play in those positions in Draxler, Neymar, Mbappe and Cavani. And at the ages they're at now, they can get a decent transfer outlay for them. Now, Conte allegedly is a big fan of Di Maria, as he feels that he's the type of player that can play in multiple positions. He can play in the half spaces that he would need for a 3-4-3, and also he's an upgrade to Willian and Pedro, especially as he brings that left-footed ability that we really do need in our front three to really complement our style of play. Still, it's not necessarily doom and gloom, because with Emenalo's departure, there's a possibility, of course, in life that Conte and Marina could come to a negotiation and come to an agreement when it comes to club matters, because actually, in fact, after the transfer window ended, their relationship did get a bit better. But at the same time, with Marina's responsibilities, he has to think of the long-term future of the club. Now, if Conte decides that he's going to leave at the end of the season, there's been a lot of reports linking him to Paris Saint-Germain and Milan. He's looking at possible alternatives to bring in for next season. Now, again, these are more alleged rumours, but the main three candidates that the club are looking at are Laurent Blanc, who plays that 4-3-3 system, a very fluid system that I feel could work at the club, Jardim from Monaco, and Pochettino, who allegedly Roman Abramovich is a big fan of and would be willing to put in a lot of work to try and persuade him to leave. But in my opinion, I don't see that happening, because Pochettino is creating something at Spurs where he's got full control and he wants to see it through. But if anything, with Emenalo's departure from the club, this really is a big win for Marina, because this does give her more power and control of club proceedings. Now, of course, I do feel that some of the criticism of her isn't warranted. I mean, that's in terms of the sexist type of insults that she receives. We have to be kind of realistic now. You know, just because she's a woman, this concept of a powerful, ruthless director isn't a new thing at Chelsea or football in general. But with Roman's responsibilities with his business, he really needs someone that can take control when he's not there, and he trusts Marina to do that wholeheartedly. Inadvertently, Marina did force Emenalo's hands because his role was being diminished. He didn't have as much say. Conte and Marina weren't really going through him as much, and there was a bit of a power battle between Conte and Marina. And he felt that he was being left in the middle. Of course, the legacy he created at Chelsea was amazing. The things he's done with women's football, with the scouting department, the youth academy, the loan army, which he's, you know, he holds very dear to himself. It just wasn't going to work long term, because even with some of the players that have performed well in the loan army, there's no first team spots or squad places for them. And I feel that Emenalo's realised that he's done as much as he can with Chelsea, and normally in life, when you've come to the end of your tenure, you move on to other things and you take on new challenges. And it looks like Emenalo is going to be a very hot commodity. It looks like Monaco in the end will probably take him on. He really fits their motto. And with Chelsea, as I keep stating, this battle between football and business, really when you're a top team, it's really hard to get that balance. Personally, I find that a bit unfortunate. I don't understand how that is the case. Clubs that do incorporate football and business tend to be your Monacos and your Southamptons, the selling clubs, the clubs that buy players for cheap and fit them for a profit. And Chelsea just aren't in that bracket, because first of all, they have the financial power and they're one of the best clubs in Europe. So the ambition just isn't the same. And this is why the club consistently look for more experienced, older players to really help out with the first team. At the same time, I do feel that, again, as a manager, your hands are always tied in a way, because everything you do really affects what the board imposes on you. And with Conte, some of the players that he would want to bring in, he can't, because Marina is thinking of continuity for the future. Maybe if they work things out, maybe if Conte extends his stay here, he could potentially get some of the players that he wants to bring in to the team. Because contrary to belief, the club have actually done quite a lot to bring in players that he does want, with the likes of your Kantes, your Bakayokos, your Muratas, etc, etc. Do I think Marina having full control over club matters is an awful thing? Honestly, at this point in time, it's really hard to tell. But at the same time, when you have business people in charge, really, they're always going to favour business over football. So really, Marina isn't different to any other director of football out there. So we can't hold her to a different standards, and we can't belittle her for what she does, because if anything, she's shown that she's one of the most powerful people in English football. But anyway, you guys, that's just how modern football works today, unfortunately. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment and subscribe. I definitely want to hear some of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you guys, but I expect to see some of this stuff being highlighted in the months to come. I think January is going to be a big time for us. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. I think Di Maria would be a great signing to come, in my opinion. I thought he is an upgrade to Pedro and Willian, and I think he'll provide a different facet. And again, with Pedro or Willian, which I did forgot to put in the video, basically Marina wants to put both in the market, and basically whoever gets the biggest bids will be sold. And I think really one of them has to go. And in regards to Charlie Masunda as well, his future seems to be clearer. It looks like he might be leaving on loan, as the club feel if he goes on loan, then they can command more money for him in the summer transfer window. And I think that's probably going to be the case. But anyway, you guys, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.